Welcome to Life and Food with Chef Mimi, where the art of living meets the joy of cooking. In 2020, Mimi transformed her life through her culinary skills, creating macro-balanced meals that led to an astounding 85-pound weight loss. So join us as we delve into her secrets for leading an amazing life while still enjoying incredible food, here on Life and Food with Chef Mimi.
Welcome back. This week, Mimi is going to continue her interview with weight loss expert Kim Waits. We're going to pick right back up where we left off.
We talked in the last podcast about how when I started going to the gym, I wasn't thinking that I was going to become a person who exercised. I was just going to the gym because I knew that I was going to die if I didn't. I needed to fix my problems. I was absolutely at rock bottom. Through consistency and learning and growing, I'm now a person who exercises. It's just who I am. It's a non-negotiable. I will go to the gym. It's part of my life now. And I think that the same thing is true with your program, is that, it's not a quick fix. It's going to set you up for lifetime success.
Right.
Because even if you only have 20 pounds to lose, do you want to lose 20 pounds and then eat like crap and gain 20 pounds and then do the program and lose 20 pounds and then eat like crap and then gain, no, you want to maintain and you want to learn how to live your life, but still have that healthy motivation going forward, and that's something that I never found that in any other program but yours. And that's why I'm so passionate about telling everyone that I can find about it. Because I'm like, oh, you have an unhealthy relationship with food? Meet Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, you have polycystic ovarian syndrome like me? Meet Kim.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't like exercising and counting your calories? Meet Kim. You're going to learn. You're going to learn so much, and it'll help you heal.
Yeah.
So many people that are really heavy or who have weight issues or food issues, we have a lot of trauma around that. And there's something about your program that really is very healing.
Yeah, I like to think of it like there is no end date, because everyone chases after that number, and then they think it's magically just going to be fixed, and it's not. And then, recently over the last year, I've learned that even for myself, because I've gone through some personal things recently, and I had to say to myself, you can't constantly focus on perfection and losing, and I had to learn to be. I said to myself at one point, and I taught this in the group, I said, I have 3 numbers. I've learned that we should all have 3 numbers. Like, there's the number that you never want to be above.
Right.
That's my red flag. Like, get your stuff together. We're tightening it back up,
Right.
Get on the budget of doing your macros and tracking everything again. And then there's the, the casual yellow number. That's the weight that you're kind of just like, you're choosing, maybe you're going through a trial in your life, and that you have to put it on the back burner and just focus on maintaining, and this is just going to keep you happy at this amount.
Sure. And
then you can have your green number that's like, man, I am confident and I'm going to rock it on this vacation if I hit that number, and I want to tighten it up to get to that number. Like,
sure.
I kind of like to look at it like that and know that every year you're going to go up and down in between those numbers based on what your lifestyle is at the time.
Right. And personal issues, too.
Yeah, right.
And that's, that was important to me. The learning to maintain was important, because I feel like you can only go so hard for so long. It's not realistic.
Right.
And so it's nice having that leeway. I'm kind of in my yellow right now. There's a green that I want to get to, but I'm certainly not at red anymore.
Right.
And that's amazing to me, because even just you saying that, and I know your 3, I know the 3 numbers. You coached me on this, personally about the 3 numbers. And so when I'm not panicked when I look at the scale and I'm like, well, I'm not where I need to be, and I want to lose this much more. It will come. It will come. And I know what I need to do to get there, how I need to get there. I'm really tightening things up in the gym. I'm tightening things up with my eating right now. I just joined, an accountability group of gym goers where we're like hitting certain strength goals. Like we're going for PRs in certain things. And I'm like, okay, what did you squat today? All right. What did you squat today? Did you do a push day? You were supposed to do a push day, And so whatever it takes to kind of get there. But I love that, because having been coached on that yellow doesn't scare me. I know I need to improve, but I also know that I will never get back up to that red, because my red was so far up there, And the other thing too is that your goals shift around.
Right.
And do you see that with clients, that they come in with one goal, and then I'm thinking of Melissa specifically, is that she wanted to be as small as possible, and she lifts now. She's she's putting it on.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was one where I was like, put your scale in your husband's trunk and like never get on it. Like she was about to make me lose my own mind. And, but now she totally sees and understands, like, there's so many people that end up gaining, like you're saying, from doing workouts, and they're so frustrated because this is the best week they've ever done. They hit their nutrition and they're up from water retention. It's like, you could be up even in just muscle mass and water retention. That's it. And you're totally doing what you want your body to do.
Sure.
But you jump off the wagon because you're frustrated. And it's like, if you just watch the science behind all of that, that's why I say connect the science to it. Like, you know, when people go on vacation, there are people who can gain. I mean, I've even gained 11 pounds on a vacation before because you have higher sodium foods, like you're eating out constantly.
You're retaining so much water.
Yes, the traveling and sitting and not walking around all the time. And it's like you can seriously gain a lot of water weight on a vacation. And then I'm like, one time I did it myself. I was like, I'll be a guinea pig in front of the group, and I'm like going to weigh in every day and show you how long.
I
it takes
remember
me.
that. I was in your coaches group when you did that.
Because I'm like, it's eye opening.
Yes, it was wild. It was like 10 or 11 pounds, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was water weight, and it just came right off through the course of the week, which you tightened. You were really tight on your nutrition that week.
Yeah.
And then the other thing too, which makes me laugh about Melissa, is that she's her physique is gorgeous, and she works out and she lifts really heavy weights.
Yeah.
And I think that it's interesting because I feel like your program, even though you're not like a workout program, you partner with Jagger and everything, but you do teach about body movement and how important that is. But I love the fact that it was not heavy cardio. Mm-hmm. It was about lifting and building muscle because muscle burns the fat.
Right.
And I had never experienced that before in any of the other programs that I did. It was all about get on the treadmill, get on the Stairmaster, get on the elliptical. The elliptical is like my personal hell. And go for 40 minutes or until you feel an appropriate sense of self-loathing leave your body, you know. And then it was suddenly like, get strong.
Yes.
And that felt so good to me.
Yeah.
So talk about that. Like, what's the science there?
I mean, I like, honestly, because I would never call myself a gym rat, but like, I like different gyms for different reasons, you know, and even Orange Theory, like, I love getting a hard, good cardio workout sometimes.
Yeah.
It is mind blowing though, when you have the little, you know, your little watch burner thing and you can see at Orange Theory, you just worked your butt off for 45 minutes or an hour and how many calories you burn, and you know the facts behind it, the science.
Right.
And then you go do a 30-minute personal training session and realize you just burned the same amount, and it's not even the same level of exhaustion.
Not
Your
at
muscles
all.
hurt.
Sure.
You're not about to die, though, and lay on the concrete and roll over, you know.
And they all serve different purposes.
Yes.
I hated cardio when I started because I was so heavy. And now I do enjoy cardio sometimes. You get that like rush at the end, those endorphins. I finally understand the idea of a runner's high, and I get that. But I always want to make sure that I'm lifting as heavy as possible. Yeah. Because when your body is at rest, the higher muscle mass you have is burning calories.
Right.
So for me, I think your program started helping me look at my body like it was a machine, and food was fuel.
Right.
And the lifting was how the machine was built, how efficient you could make the machine. And I love that. I love the idea that like I'm eating, you know, my grilled sirloin for lunch and my Carb Smart tortilla, and it's delicious and it's amazing. And then I'm sitting down afterwards and I'm working on my computer, but my giant thigh muscles that I've been bench pressing or, you know, leg pressing 500 pounds with, and that steak in my stomach, my body is working so hard because of both of those things. Right. So I am not having to do as much. It's latent energy that's happening. Right. And why wouldn't you want to take advantage of that?
Yeah, and understand it like that.
Right.
You know? And, you know, when you see that, because women naturally do cardio like that, when you understand, like, if you're, you know, the whole new thing is, like, the fit is the new skinny or whatever.
Right.
People want to look fit. Like, they just want to look good. When you physically are looking at someone from a distance, like, that's a lot of the goals for most people. Like, I don't really get the skinny thing. Like, I want to be skinny. People want to look fit.
Right.
And when you understand, like, cardio breaks down all your muscles, like, that's what it's going to do at the end of the day. Or when someone's taught to fast every single morning, it's like, well, if your goal is muscle mass, then that's, like, not what you want to do. Like, you know.
Right. So your body's going to eat itself.
Yeah. Understanding why you do what you do, even for working out, it's mind-blowing when you
Right.
It's another
tool, right? It's another tool.
Yeah.
And I love that. And like I said, I do love the cardio sometimes, and it can be helpful. I think it's good for your cardiovascular health, but that's to me like a secondary.
Yeah.
I've got to be lifting heavy first because it just makes me feel so good. And you look better.
Yeah.
I mean, you get that little definition in your arm and your shoulder. You're like, okay.
Yeah, you see that
it's
pop.
fantastic.
Mimi was a professional chef turned full-time mom with 7 children that she homeschooled. But she also had a serious weight problem. Then, at the height of the pandemic, she reached a crisis point and decided to use her culinary knowledge to start fixing her own health. She knew that her love of great food could pose a challenge, so she needed to make her journey as delicious as it was good for her. The result is Mimi's Macros. Are you ready to taste success? Head on over to mimismacros.com to check delivery availability in your area. Mimi's Macros. Let us do the cooking, you focus on life.
All right, I feel like we've covered so much here, but what I want to know is sort of like, what are your plans going forward? Like where, I know that you're always thinking about stuff, right? I mean, you're always looking at the next opportunity because that's who you are. You're a driven person and you want, and you truly do, you want people who are signed up with you to have the most success that they possibly can. You give so much information. You provide so much coaching. I mean, your program is so worth the amount of money that it costs. I think you probably undercharge for it ridiculously. But I know that you're always looking for different approaches of like, how can I offer this? And that's kind of how my business came about, was that you were like, we need someone making meals that fit people's macros. And I was like, maybe I could. And you're like, let's do it. And here we are. So what are your plans? What are you thinking about for 2024 and beyond?
I would say that, when I used to do therapy, I worked for a company that basically had this program where the goal was to wrap services around the child. What different things can you do to wrap around this child to make them excel? And I've kind of like built off of that. That's my concept in my head is like, I don't want to be just this nutrition program. I like to branch it out and wrap services and that community aspect around each client to keep them successful under like one roof kind of thing. And so, and one thing that I've been brainstorming recently is having a fertility coach, somebody that struggles with fertility issues, because there's a lot of nutrition thing behind that. For people that, just going down, that would be an option that someone could sign up for or whatever.
Sure.
I've always had the idea of doing like a higher level, like people who only clean eat. They've learned all the macros, the basics, they get it, and they want to be at that fit higher level. And it's, a level we don't have yet necessarily. And then, and connecting it all in person. We're brainstorming the idea of doing a gym and connecting. Personally, myself, I would want to connect everything there. That's where I like, from my passion with it would probably be like the boot camps. I like the 6-week stuff. Like, I don't want to just be sign up for a group fitness classes and come to different ones. I like to give someone a challenge. We're doing 6 weeks and you sign up for the 6 weeks.
Yes. Kind
of membership or transformations like that when we do that. I always thought it was like you were saying, like the PRs, like having like this wall of fame and like, the trying to get to the wall of fame of you being like the woman in the whatever age bracket with whatever.
Yeah.
And then doing, a lot of people have asked me, like I meet people in the community sometimes that just are overwhelmed and I'll be like, it's fine. Let's go meet at Starbucks and I'll kind of like sit down with you. And I've seen that the light bulb go off just because of that. So
they need the person, like the in-person coaching.
So I've always wanted to do like even the 6-week rounds where I could, there's 10 people I'm going to do a small group with, and those 10 people be aware of each other where we meet once a week. That if I had the gym, then I could do that in that gym where they meet once a week, but maybe they'd be part of the boot camp too. Right. And, you tie it all in together. That would be like one package where you could do the workout classes, the nutrition, and be meeting one-on-one in person.
Amazing.
And then I like sports conditioning for kids. I just think there's a lack of, kids need more of confidence, the positive reinforcement.
Sure.
I do have a passion with kids because that's what I used to do for 8 years, was work with kids therapeutically.
There's a lot of obesity in kids. Yeah. I mean, what we're eating is not, the standard American diet is not great.
Yeah.
And kids struggle with that because they don't really understand.
Well, and I played professionally and I didn't even I never had the knowledge ever taught to me about nutrition.
How to fuel yourself.
And I played for the state of Kentucky. I played on multiple teams, and not one person ever
explained the nutrition.
Ever.
Wow.
Explain nutrition.
Well, I have to say, I miss those boot camps so much.
Yeah.
And I am rooting for you I'm always looking at commercial real estate. So, hey, if you're listening and you know of a space that would be fantastic as a gym, preferably with like big garage doors that you can roll up in the summertime, a fantastic gym with maybe some office space, a little bit of a classroom space, will you just like send that my way so I can pass that along to Kim, because we need a place. Like the online community is amazing, but yes, it's so helpful to have a place. I loved the stuff that we did at boot camp. I know for a while we had a little wrestling belt that was given out to like the MVP of the evening, and I will never forget. I talk about this in one of the earlier podcasts that one of our warm-ups often was to run around the building, a lap around the building 5 times. And I couldn't do it. When I started, I couldn't do it. I could run for a little bit. I'd have to walk. I'd have to rest. I'd have to stop, catch my breath, maybe run a little bit more. And the first class where I ran all 5 without stopping, I could barely breathe, but I was like crying. I was so happy that I achieved that, and I got the belt that day. Yeah. And I have a picture of myself, and I still go back and look at it because I love games and I love competition. And so when there's, and that's the thing, is your community of people is so great that you bring together. When we were working out together, they just pushed you. Yeah. Like, there was no, like, I'm so good at this. Even people that were super athletic, they were so encouraging. And they would go, I remember being the last one to finish a lap, and someone who had already finished coming and running alongside me, doing an extra lap, just so I wouldn't be alone. That's the kind of people, that's the kind of community that you foster and bring around you. And that's what gives people success.
Yeah. And I want to keep doing that. And I want to bring back some of the things that we used to do. Like Melissa, actually, and I have done some Bible studies, and I know I want a space in my gym to do that, or even tying your stuff, like where you can come in and do a little class or like, I just love the area for like the resource for that, and just having that space, because there's people who do need to read a book about emotional eating. And I'm like, if we could do that and have a book club where we would meet like once a week and like review that, there would be people that could benefit from it. But it's hard when you're just specifically online. Right. And people not thinking I'm crazy because I add another group and add them to it. Right. Like, if you add me, we'll do one more group.
Right. It's frustrating paying for mail order meals that taste like cafeteria food. So say goodbye to paying for blah and hello to Mimi's Macros, where flavor meets convenience. Mimi ensures that every dish is a culinary masterpiece. In fact, Mimi is so confident that you will love her food that there are no subscriptions and no minimums. That's right, you can order as little or as much as you want with no obligations. Visit mimismacros.com to check delivery availability in your area. Mimi's Macros. Let us do the cooking, you focus on life.
I love the visual that you get when you talk about wrapping services around someone, because it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's physical. There's a lot of pain and hurt, and it's not like someone, having an addiction to alcohol or drugs or something where you can just say, like, I'm not going to do that anymore. You have to consume food every day. Yeah. And if you have trauma around food, or if you are an emotional eater, you have a binge eating disorder, any of those things, you can't get away from that. Yeah. So you're going to have to eventually find the tools to heal that relationship going forward. And oftentimes a one-pronged approach isn't enough. So I love that idea of like having the classes and a book club and, Bible study, and the things that people need to really feel that it is a truly a whole life change. Yeah. And I think that's really what sets your program aside or above kind of all of the other ones that are out there. All right, lastly, how can people find you? So let's say there's someone listening and they are, they're just in a place where they've kind of hit rock bottom, like me 3 years ago. I mean, it was January, and I was like, I'm literally going to die if I don't do something. So, and I found you because there were people that I knew that were doing your program. But so, there's someone out there, they're listening, they're maybe hesitant to take the first step. So, what do you say to them, and then how do they find you, and, what can they expect? Like,
I would say we are all more relatable than you would think. One would think, no matter how fit you are or if you're just starting. One thing that I love that I've done is every single coach that works for me has done my program. So everyone's on the same page with understanding the ups and downs of all that. And then I just think that, I don't know, you got to start somewhere. And if you start somewhere, and sometimes I feel like maybe it wasn't the nutrition part that got you into the group and kept you coming, but it was like the emotional support, like you're saying, or maybe it was a community piece that you're missing, or whatever that may be. But that is what starts it for you and makes you keep coming. And then one day you look back and realize all the stuff you did because you just hung on to this crazy group of people.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, basically I have a Facebook page and you can find me on Google.
And what should people search for?
Just Intentionally Fit.
Intentionally Fit.
Mm-hmm.
Do they need the with Kim Waits at the end to find you, or should it just be Intentionally Fit?
Either, both come up.
Both. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
So they can Google, they can go on Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and they can sign up for a basic, and that you have obviously advanced levels with coaching, and then more advanced with you if people
Right.
are really hardcore. And yes, you have the multi-pronged approach. Come for the emotional support, or come for the nutrition side, come for the fitness side, come for the community side, and stay for everything else, because
Right.
you're going to learn so much.
Right.
Well, I just want to say, personally, I feel like you really changed my life. I mean, I don't know what I would have done, and I don't know what would have happened. I'm going to get teary here, so don't look at me. But I don't know what I would have done if I didn't find you, because it wasn't just me losing weight. That was just the side effect of all of the other changes. I went from someone who was traumatized and self-loathing and afraid and timid and, just kind of faking it because I was so unhappy, to someone who's bold and confident and a small business owner and, kind of loving on the community in my own way and, carrying forward fitness goals that I never would have dreamed that I had. And you were the person that pushed the boat off from the shore and said, you got this. And I just appreciate it so much. I want anyone out there who was in that position that I was in to find you. And so I just want to thank you for coming in and talking to me. And, maybe, who knows, you'll be back in a little bit to talk about something more specific. We're going to see what feedback we get, and people might have some questions for you. So we might have round 2 for you to, answer some listener questions, hopefully coming up. So we'll see what happens.
All right. Well,
thank you.
Be sure to tune in next week when Mimi addresses one of the elephants in the room concerning healthy weight loss: bariatric surgery.